thank you for joining us on this morning on ITV. This very Sunday morning. A lot of issues happening so far, looking at the state of the Nigerian nation, a lot of issue happening. Now, the rerun in Rivers State yesterday, just into local government area. Now, an INEC official's hand was chopped off, and a lot of people, as at yesterday, we had the news that another INEC official was kidnapped or abducted, and then a lot of people arrested. Now, this is an election that is just happening in just 2 local governments, and then you begin to fear for what will happen in 2019, when we'll have a general election. I have Barrister Chima Williams here in the studio. He's a human rights activist, and Ogbede Ifaluyi Isibo is also here, is a public affairs analyst. Gentlemen, you're welcome to the program this morning.
Thank you.
First of all, before we delve into the economy, which is exactly what we want to be looking at now, the Rivers Rerun again, my rights of problem. Mr. Chima, how does this make you feel, having in mind that we have 2019 general election yet to be conducted?
Well, the Rivers situation calls for worry for everybody. Whether you are a good person, a bad person, an ugly person, it calls for worry. Because people have started describing rivers as the rivers of blood. Okay? Let's look at it. I will not use the river situation to look at 2019 because there are a series of elections that have been conducted within this period, of which Rivers is one of them. And there is none of these other states where it's been as bloody as in Rivers State. So what actually is the reason behind this? Okay, it will take me back to a discussion we had here after the previous rerun that produced the completion, because this is not even a rerun, because the rerun had been done. It's just to conduct election into some pockets of places that, as a result of violence, then elections could not be conducted. And here, we are still seeing this level of violence, where people will be shooting massively, where people that are non-indigenous, those that cannot vote in a chain, were found to be there. What were they doing there? Okay? I mean, this gives some work to the security officials and even the government of the day in Rivers State. Because no government will ever succeed in an atmosphere of crisis, of killings. Because it's the citizens of the state that are being killed, it's the properties of the state that is being destroyed, and it is the state citizens that are being rendered powerless. Okay? So, it's something that needs concerted efforts to be addressed so that Rivers State, that used to be the most peaceful state in Nigeria, and later in the south, and later in the south-south, and now is the worst state in terms of security. I mean, when it comes to elections, it calls for serious concern. It is not a one person, because definitely for there to be violence of that magnitude, there must be people. It is not one person that say, I do not agree. A number of persons will not agree with each other. So it is not putting it that it is the responsibility of one person to address or to sort out. So it is a collective responsibility. The security apparatuses that are in Rivers State, the federal government, the Rivers State government, the citizens of Rivers State themselves, okay, and everybody that thinks well for Rivers and Rivers people should, whatever idea we can give to make that situation change. And I will here profile one, that Rivers people should take cue from what former President Goodluck Jonathan said. There is no blood of any Rivers man that is worth the ambition of anybody in Rivers State. Because the person that is killed as a result of election conduct the family will not be remembered, let alone the person. And at the end of the day, who knows if that person was alive, whether the person would not have occupied a higher office than the person that he or she was killed for. So this is a caution that all of us, especially those on ground the rivers, should take.
Okay. Obedi, what's your take on the rivers, river?
Well, I think there's a fundamental problem with our democracy. There's a fundamental issue with our style of politicking. And that's what transmogrifies into this extreme violence we see during elections. So it may be worse in River State, but it's the same everywhere. There are places where INEC officials are compromised. There are places where voters are paid to vote. There are places where ballot boxes are snatched. And now in River State we're having the arm of an INEC staff chopped off. It's all a big mess of our political system, and we must fix culpability where it is. The politicians who involve in this politicking are to be blamed. The security operatives, the electoral umpire, they all have a hand in all of this. You'll be amazed the reason why the INEC man's arm was cut off. Perhaps he may have been trying to maneuver results. So it's a collaboration we need to resolve these issues, and we must bother first of all about the economy of the people in those localities. Where there's extreme poverty, people are susceptible to whatever vices, as long as they're going to be paid for it. So you could give someone as low as 1,000 naira to commit havoc, and he doesn't mind because that can sustain him for a few hours. So we must get the fundamental issue right, which is the welfare of the people. If the welfare of the people is given the attention it deserves, people will be more reasonable to act. People will be less, the poverty level will be reduced. And when poverty is reduced, crime is reduced. Secondly, the security operatives must decide on what they want to do. Are they apolitical, or are they on the side of a political party? A situation where members of a political party feel that the security has been compromised, they resort to self-help. Where you feel that the policeman who should stop, someone from stealing the ballot box, aiding, for example, then the people have no choice but to protect themselves or protect whatever results they have. So it's a big issue that we must focus on as a nation, and there are lots of things we must correct. I think that there must be a fundamental change in our constitution. We have monetized our political system so much that it has become so attractive, and that every time they can hire wants to run for office, even when you're not qualified to run for office. And that's because there's so much money attached. There's so much money for the primary, so much money for the campaign. I'm looking forward to a system where the constitution can be altered, where we can have independent candidates. That you don't have to spend so much to get the party tickets, you don't have to spend so much on party campaigns, where we can have a more sane political system. And that's the solution to this spate of violence that we see. Okay.
But do you fear for 2019?
Well, my fear for 2019 is it's complex. What I mean is that I have lots of fears, not just electoral violence now, but the electoral system as a whole. We've seen receding freedoms, just now. We've seen a traumatic democracy. We've seen the electoral umpire, as it were, being accused severally in all the elections that have been held. They've always been accused of being biased. They've always been accused of supporting the side or the government in power, and that's a very big problem. When the new INEC chairman was appointed, a lot of people complained that before now what we see is that if the president is from a particular region, the INEC chairman is from the opposite region. Yeah. So to create some kind of a balance of fairness. But that's not the case we have today, and it's troubling for me and for many Nigerians who feel that there's a likelihood, or it may be easier to maneuver the electoral process when we have some form of ethnicity or ethnic coloration in it. And I feel that that's a major problem, but it is not, it doesn't have the capacity to um, um, make anyone feel that the 2019 elections won't be successful. We believe that we can get it right. We believe that we don't have to do it the way it used to be done, and I feel that we can work hard to achieve a good electoral system.
All right. Well, we hope so too. So moving on to the economy, which is actually the main thing today. Barrister Chima, what would you say, how would you describe it so far? The Nigerian economy, looking at the prices of foods in the market and every other thing.
Well, I will take this discourse from the social perspective. I'm not an economist,
Of course.
so I may not go deep down into those economic jargons. But looking at it socially, okay, of course there is no gainsaying that the economy of Nigeria today is at its ebbs, okay, where citizens cannot afford certain necessities as a result of high cost of those items in the market. Because, of course, when there is escalation of prices of goods and services, there should equally be a commensurate escalation of prices for services rendered. But here, our situation now is a little bit worrisome because, of course, all items in the market, their prices have increased astronomically. But there is no commensurate, increase in the pockets of citizens. In terms of, let's look at it, salary earners. Everybody is still earning what we were earning, before now. So, which means that there is a lot of pressure on citizens to survive. Okay? But of course, we know that change doesn't come easy. If we want to, look at it from that perspective, you do not do the same things the same way and expect a different result. You must do things differently if you want to get a different result. And Nigerians are not unaware that the situation we found ourselves today, arises from actions and inactions over the years that have failed to build up the Nigerian economy. So, that things are the way they are today, is a busting out of accumulative lack of planning over the years. Okay? So, the saying that when you fail to plan, you have planned to fail is what we are reaping today. But the good thing about it is that for me as a Nigerian, I believe that the situation that is happening is not only something that is happening in Nigeria alone. If we look through history, we see that many great nations today passed through worst situations before they got to where they are today. It only depends on the attitude of Nigerians in looking at the situation we have today, whether this will make us to wear our thinking caps. Because I have said it time without number, Nigeria has been is blessed with all the natural resources, all the human resources, but Nigeria has equally been blessed over the years with unthinking leaders. Unthinking leaders. Because there is no way you can create positive change. There is no way you can make things, no society ever in history that has ever made it without, having creative. And you cannot be creative if you are not thinking. If you think that you will just continue to do the same thing and be saying the same thing, every other person has been saying, and then you think that things will change, it will never change on its own. So we have to do things differently, and that is why, for me, I admonish Nigerians, this is an opportunity for us to grow our economy, because this is the time for us to place less dependence on foreign things. Nigeria can take care of Nigerians in terms of everything and export and take care of other nations. It is just getting the priorities right.
Okay, well explained, Barrister Chima Williams, but we'll have to go for the news update for 8:30, after which I'll come and see if Ubede agrees with you. Please stay tuned.
Hello there, my name is FX the Entertainer, and I'm here to introduce to you the first door-to-door delivery service in Benin City, Edo State, Nigeria, OrionExpress.com.ng. Guess what? Whether it's hotel bookings, airport pickups, food or drinks delivery, whatever delivery you want around Edo State, Nigeria, we'll get it to you at your doorstep, and it's very affordable. And of course, we are time conscious. Just log on to www.orionexpress.com.ng and you'll be glad you did. I especially recommend it, and I know that you'll be glad when you go through our website. Our details are on your screen, and guess what? We would make sure that you smile at every delivery. www.orionexpress.com.ng. Have a good day.
The passion, academic excellence, the quest for first, a dream for greatness and leadership in all spheres of human endeavor. Then comes Igbenedion Education Center. Why is Igbenedion Education Center every child's dream? It is an international award-winning first choice school, rated among the top 4 schools in West Africa by WAEC, operates a school-based full internet system, operate full digital language laboratories. Indeed, Igbenedion Education Center is every child's dream. Admission forms for GSS 1 and 2 and SS 1 and 2 2017-2018 academic session. The admission forms are available for a non-refundable fee of 10,000 naira only at Union Bank of Nigeria PLC, Mission Road, Benin City, Edo State. The application form may also be downloaded from the school's website at www.igbenedioneducation.com. Entrance examination and interview Saturday, 18th March 2017 at Igbenedion Education Center, 218-220 Murtala Muhammad Way, Benin City, Edo State. Time 9 a.m. Igbenedion Education Center, first choice international school, every child's dream.
News update for 8:30. Thanks a lot for staying. Only 2 witnesses of the second respondent, Governor Godwin Obaseki, yesterday testified before the Edo State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal following an argument that lasted for about 2 hours by parties over a subpoenaed witness. Best Mbiri has more.
Trouble started when counsel to the second respondent, AJ Owonikoko SAN, called a subpoena witness, Egbe Elegon, to testify before the tribunal. But counsel to the petitioners, Roland Otaru SAN, objected and prayed the tribunal not to administer oaths on the witness, as according to him, the witness is a member of the APC who is the third respondent in the petition. The petitioners' counsel said since the APC who is the third respondent is jointly sued with the second respondent, the witness cannot testify, making reference to a matter involving one Amosu versus INEC in 2010, Omiterun versus ETA in 2011, Oke versus Mimiko and Akeredolu versus Mimiko, among others. Otaru SAN maintained that the witness statement ought to have been front-loaded in the second respondent's reply to the petition, adding that to allow a partisan subpoenaed witness to testify is a clear violation of paragraphs 5, sub 5 of the provision of this first schedule of the electoral law. The petitioner's counsel also explained that allowing the subpoenaed witness to testify is tantamount to amending the respondent's reply to the petition. adding that the move is intended and designed to overreach the petitioner's hearing, particularly as the evidence sought to be tendered by the witness was not pleaded, and called on the tribunal not to admit the witness. Responding, counsel to INEC Onyenye and Monye, counsel to APC Dr. G. Olatoke, and counsel to Governor Godwin Obaseki, AJ Owonikoko SAN, said there is no provision in the Evidence Act qualifying or disqualifying any subpoenaed witness from testifying, whether or not they have affiliation with any political party. The respondent's counsel said since the tribunal on 8 February 2017 ruled in favor of the petitioners that subpoenaed witnesses can testify, the witness is competent and prayed the tribunal not to grant the application of the petitioner's counsel. Delivering a ruling after 30 minutes of break, Chairman of the tribunal, Justice Ahmed Badamasi, expressed the view that since the issue canvassed were the same with those ruled upon before, the witness should be admitted in evidence. The witness, Egbe Elegon, was thereafter admitted and subsequently adopted his deposition. Under cross-examination by counsel to INEC and APC, the witness said voters were accredited before voting on the day of election, adding that the voters' register was ticked on both sides, signifying accreditation and voting. But the witness' testimony took a twist when he was cross-examined by counsel to the petitioners, Roland Otaru SAN. When the witness was handed exhibit PO 319-21, the witness contradicted himself, saying that in some cases the voters' register was ticked on one side and on both sides in others, and in some not ticked at all, even though the subpoenaed witness earlier said accreditation and voting was done at the same time. The second witness, Aidagmonyi Osaze, who was also subpoenaed, said election was done according to laid down rules and informed counsel to the APC, Dr. G. Olatoke SAN, that the total tickings on both sides of the voters' register in Unit 1, Ward 7 of Ikpobaha local government area was 192, and maintained that it was not possible for a voter to vote without accreditation. Under cross-examination, counsel to PDP, Roland Otaru SAN, accused the witness of waiting till after the petitioner's witness testified before he sworn to an oath, just to discredit the testimony given by the PDP witness, which the witness refuted. As the respondent counsel was preparing to call the third witness for the day, the tribunal chairman, Justice Ahmed Badamasi, stopped him on the grounds that the time was up. This development prompted lead counsel to Governor Godwin Obaseki, Adetunji Oyeyekmo SAN, to ask the tribunal to record half day for them since 2 hours was used for arguments. But the chairman of the tribunal, Justice Ahmed Badamasi, said the tribunal will record full day whether they call one witness or not. Counsel comments on the day proceedings.
The tribunal had previously ruled in respect of a similar objection, so we really did not expect that the objection would have been seriously raised. But when it was raised, it had to be seriously addressed, and the tribunal gave a ruling. The intention all along was for the witness to testify in opposition to the petitioner and in presentation of the case of the second respondent, and that's what the witness did.
The tribunal, they have discretion of federal judge to rule the way they ruled. It was hard to prove that if you vote without accreditation, well, it means that that's not proper under our electoral jurisprudence. The witness said in some places they ticked only once, in some places twice, in some places none at all. And that's what we are saying. Our protection in this petition is provided in our petition before the tribunal.
In total, the tribunal has admitted 26 witnesses summoned by the second respondent, that is Governor Godwin Obaseki. So far, the second respondent has used 3 days from the 10 days statutorily given to them. The tribunal is expected to reconvene next week, Monday, to continue the exercise. From the Edo State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal sitting in Benin, Best Mbiere reporting.
The Speaker, Edo State House of Assembly, Dr. Justin Okonobo, has alerted the police over alleged assassination attempt on his life while returning to Benin from his local government area, Igwebe. Efosa Wangwe reports that the Speaker has already reported the incident to the police.
The Speaker, Justin Okonobo, said after going to settle the dispute between indigenes of Igwebe and the traditional ruler over the protests concerning land acquisition, he was on his way back to Benin. According to him, between Ujogba and Ebudi Road, he noticed a car trailing him and trying to overtake his backup escort. The Speaker said despite several gunshots to the air by his police escort, the car continued with his trail until they got to Ugoneki axis of Ujogba when the yet to be identified hoodlums made a retreat.
It wasn't quite 5 minutes when the escorts, the agent's escort screamed through his walkie-talkie. We should be on the alert that some people are chasing us. Where I looked back and I saw actually there was a Camry that was after the healers at the back, trying to overtake the healers. They struggled with the healers for about 5 kilometers until we got to the Ujogba junction. By the time we turned right, the Camry stopped and started warning us.
One of the speaker's aides, who also witnessed the scene, said the situation would not have degenerated to that extent if the speaker has enough security on him.
As he was trying to take us from the left, the driver said no, it cannot happen. So we blocked him to the right. He came to the left. The policeman was trying to radio the lead convoy. Until that point, I said, look, this doesn't look normal. You have to give warning shot. So he gave warning shots. I thought at that point they would retreat. That's when the urge to overtake increased, at least to get past us. Looking through the vehicle, they had arms, but they didn't shoot at us. But they were only trying to do away without us.
At the time of the report, the speaker said the issue has already been reported to the police. Efosa Wangwe reporting.
A middle-aged woman was in the early hours of yesterday killed by a hit-and-run driver at the University of Benin axis of Ugbo Lagos Road in Benin City. Ikpamusa Ugiagbe reports that the victim is one of those employed to sweep major roads in the metropolis.
At the scene of the accident, colleagues of the victim and other sympathizers gathered, lamenting the hazards inherent in the job. The sympathizers said the victim resumed work as usual only to be knocked down by a hit-and-run vehicle which was driving against traffic. Some of the victim's colleagues and a sympathizer speak on the accident.
This morning we dey sweep. Now we hear say they come meet us for road. They say make we come. Say one of our workers motor don jam am, he don die for road. As we reach here now, we see say the woman don die for ground. And na one way the motor pass when he kill am. We are tired of this one way. Any motor that is coming, any motor that want to buy fuel, we will just take one way. When they are passing, they will tell us, you know they come up for road. It's one way road lane.
Na me dey sweep this side. Na she dey sweep the other side. So she dey sweep dey come from that side for her own side. Then me go start from where my own from start, from this side. So as I dey sweep dey come, I come see say one big trailer stand. If one dey shout, "Muna carry am comot now, muna carry am comot now." I come stand up as I dey sweep. Now say wetin happen. Before me from there reach this side, I see this woman for middle of the road. Now me shout, I come dey drum, they try to raise am, I no fit.
Road safety officials, the policemen, they should do more work on the highways. They should do more work because it's hard time to stop this rubbish act. A lot of persons are being killed on the highway.
Men of the Nigerian police and officials of the Federal Road Safety Corps were on the ground to remove the corpse to the hospital mortuary. Ikmamusa Ugiagbe reporting.
We apologize for the gory picture in that report. And that's it for now. Thanks a lot for watching. Join us again at 9:30 for updates. TMI continues in a moment. Good morning.
Independent television, certainly the best.
Thank you for rejoining us, and we're looking at the state of the nation's economy. And I still have Barrister Chima Williams and Ogbede Ifaluyi here with us. So, Ogbede, we're going to ask you what your thought is of the nation's economy before we went on the news break.
Well, Nigeria's economy is in one of its lowest levels, in many decades. I want to congratulate you and congratulate Nigerians for having about the lowest GDP growth at the end of 2016 in 25 years. Today we have the highest.
Congratulate us for that.
Well, what can we say? What can we say? It's disheartening. Today we have the highest inflation rate we've had in the last 13 years, approaching 19%. Today we have unemployment skyrocketing. We have extreme hunger on the increase. We have more Nigerians who can afford a basic healthy meal in a day. And of all, we have a government that is largely unstable, if you ask me. We have an exchange rate. We have 5 official exchange rates in the only country that has multiple exchange rates today, and we have 5 of them. It's sad when one is asked to talk about the economy of the nation. And although some people have said that you may not be able to, you can't blame the government of the day for the mess we find ourselves today, but then I think the government of the day have played a major role, in the level we've gotten to today. Yes, there's been very poor leadership. Yes, there's been lack of focus. There's been lack of good governance all the while. But as we are now, there are lots of unreasonable policies, I would say, that has crippled the economy and has gotten us where we are today. We've had 3 successive decline in our GDP. That's why we're in a recession today. And if it is sustained for the next few quarters, we'll get ourselves in a depression. And one would have thought that with these various problems, these various issues, we'll be doing something right to get out of the mess. But sadly, there appears to be nothing serious that's been done to get the economy back on its feet. Today, 60% of the rice we consume in Nigeria comes from Thailand. Over 40% of our beans comes from Burkina Faso. We have oil coming from Indonesia and Malaysia, groundnut oil. These are countries we made rich, back in the days. And now while importing those things, they came here to take a few years ago. I mean, in Lagos, for example, more than 200 trucks of cattle is consumed every day in Lagos. And the bulk of it comes from Niger, it comes from Benin Republic. So what are we talking about? How are we going to sustain an economy where those who should manage the economy are bereft of whatever ideas or suggestions they can employ to get ourselves? Look at the 2017 budget. When we got the 2016 budget, we felt okay, because it was the first budget prepared by the government. There were some issues of padding here and there. The president sacked some people. They said, oh, they were the ones. But for 2017 budget is messier than 2016. I mean, a nation in a recession, we cannot be budgeting about 100 million naira for bulletproof tires for the president. We cannot be budgeting 53 million naira for civil maintenance in Aso Villa. We cannot be budgeting over 731 million for traveling allowances of the president. We're budgeting over 500 million, for honorarium and certain allowances in the Aso Villa. Last year, they paid 27 million as Aso Rock rent. This year, 77 million, 50 million naira difference. In a recession, we are having to pay 5 million naira for newspapers in the State House. We are having to pay 130 million for cutlery. We are having to pay 200 million for computers. So if one is to marry this budget with the reality on ground, then you'll be forced to think that there's a misplaced priority of the government, and it's really sad because one would have thought that in an economic downturn or decline, we're going to have a budget that's focused on restructuring the economy, a budget that's focused on shifting our focus from oil to agriculture, to diversify the economy. We've been singing diversification since 1975. Even the structural adjustment program of the Babangida years was about diversifying the economy. And today we're still talking about diversifying the economy. What are we doing in agriculture? I don't think that we are serious about diversifying our economy, because if we were, we would have seen these plans, we would have seen these policies, put in place to attempt to diversify the economy. But the truth is that we're still oil dependent. Agriculture today is given less and less attention than it was previously. Look at the budget for agriculture. Even the Minister for Agriculture, who is about maybe 6 or 7 years, multiply my age by 6 or 7, you get his age. One's amazed that having been a farmer for many years, he should have an idea of how to grow farming, commercial farming in Nigeria. But that's not the case. We import over 60% of all that we consume. If you cook a pot of jollof rice today, more than 70% of what we're going to use is imported. How are we going to grow an economy that way? How are we going to attract investments when we have 5 different exchange rates? Who will invest in such an economy? It is sad that many Nigerians expected that the change that was coming in was going to be a paradigm shift from how things were. We agree that we've had very bad leadership, and so many thought that, okay, now that we're coming in with a fresh guy, so to say, with a fresh thinking, with a fresh government, we're going to see some progress being made. But sadly, that has not been the case. I agree that the vandalization of oil installations has affected our oil output, but that's why we should diversify. There's not much going on in the manufacturing sector. There's not much going on in agriculture. There's not much going on in education. Look at the budget for health. Many of us have queried the idea of having top government functionaries travel out of the country for medical assistance. When we had 3.2 billion naira in the 2016 budget for the Aso Rock Clinic alone, higher than the total budget for all government not teaching hospitals in the country. And yet we're having the president travel, we're having the SGF travel, we're having the chief of staff travel for ailments that should be able to be resolved in the country. And it's sad. And this year's budget, another 2.8 billion. But for the Aso Rock Clinic, what are we talking about? Are we serious as a nation? Do we have a government that is bothered about the welfare of the people? And just like my dear brother said, the income of Nigerians has remained the same. We're having an inflation of about 19%, and the income has remained the same. We're having more children go to school without snacks today. We're having more children go to bed hungry today. And you're talking about fighting corruption? It is not possible.
Okay. Barrister Chima, when you talked earlier, you mentioned how other countries are also went through what we're going through now. We are so quick to point out that, oh, this country, China, is presently in recession, this country is presently in recession. Do we do anything, do we try to imitate this country on how they manage to get out of it, or we just want to refer what we are going through to them without trying to do what they did to get it right?
Well, you see, the essence of history is to present the good, the bad, and the ugly side of events that triggered transformation, either positive or negative. Now, a bad student of history will look at history as just mere story. But a good student of history will look at history as an instrument for social change. Okay? Of course, if you don't know where the rain started beating you, you won't equally know when it stopped beating you. So that is the essence of looking at what happened in other societies, so that your case is not peculiar. People have passed through what you're passing through. So how were they able to come out of those crises?
Do you see the government of the day doing this, thinking on this line now?
Now, if you remember, I said we cannot be doing things the same way, saying the same thing, and think that we are going to get different results. Now, we are talking about the economy. We are not talking about this, what this government is doing generally as a government, okay, because in other sectors they have done things differently, okay, security, anti-corruption. But on the economic platform, I have not seen this government. So the much I believe in the leadership of this government, but of course I have not seen that economic blueprint that is going to transform this nation. I mean, just taking cue from my brother, you cannot talk of diversification without resources to diversify. If you are saying that agriculture is the next path to transform this country and change, you know, the fortune of this country, you cannot only be saying it with mouth. You typify it. You show it with action. And one way of starting is to show a robust budgetary allocation to the agri sector. Okay? You cannot be giving less than 10% of the budget to agricultural sector that has always been the same way, and then you are telling me that you are diversifying. Of course, you are not just telling yourself the truth, because you are not going to diversify anything. Okay? Today, I talked about a nation that depends solely, that depends heavily, not solely, that depends heavily on imported goods. How do you change that? You can change the trend first and foremost by closing up your borders. Say nothing is coming. But before you close up your borders so that starvation will not kill people, you would have, you know, created, for instance, mega farms. Okay? Lagos State have started doing that with, in partnership with, I think, Taraba.
Kebbi.
Okay, Kebbi. Okay? That is the way to go. And I expect that the federal, there is nothing wrong with the federal government, Ministry of Agriculture, looking inwards. The 36 states of this federation, each has something that they are known for.
Yeah.
The federal government can, you know, design a system that will encourage each state to create at least 10, 20 mega farms of different agro items. There are states that are good in fishery products. There are states that are good in livestock products. There are states that are good in fruits. There are states that are good in, you know, STEM products and things like that. If the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, you know, and I share partly the sentiment of my brother, that with a Chief Audu as the Minister of Agriculture, Nigerians should have heaved a sigh of relief, because he's an agriculturist himself. And he's been around for long to know the problems of this country. And he should have planned and presented a budget, let the National Assembly shoot it down, and then Nigerians will now react.
Okay.
Okay? Because except you say, this is what I want to do, nobody will say it for you.
That's right. Okay.
Okay, so I think there are several ways that the situation can change, given that if we study other countries where they had come out of recession to become stronger economically, you know, then we know that it is doable in this country if only we want to do it.
Okay, thank you. And What's your submission?
Well, I would want to suggest, first of all, that we must have a single exchange rate in Nigeria.
Okay.
The CBN must be able to come up with a platform or come up with a plan on how we can collapse all the funny exchange rates and have one to attract investments. That's one. Two, we must focus on agriculture as a people, individually now. We must reduce our consumption of foreign products. There's nothing that we import that we cannot produce here. You know, thank God now in Akwa Ibom State they now produce pencils that we've been importing for many years. And it just all state governors and the federal government, they have to come together and say, how can we promote our local products? It starts from the attitude of the leadership in the first place. If you want us to focus more on homegrown items, then stop traveling abroad. Then stop importing your clothes and shoes. We can do all those things here. They make very nice shoes in Abia State. You know, and I think that is the only solution we have. Let's feed ourselves. Food sufficiency, food sustenance is our major issue. If Nigerians can feed Nigerians, we're going to have a very robust economy in the next few years. That is the direction we want our government to focus on. Let's increase foreign investment, and let's do the best we can to reduce as much as possible the dependence on oil. Let's promote the modular refineries. Let's start refining products here. If we have to have pockets of refineries everywhere, scattered everywhere, that would help in the reduction of imported fuel. We cannot continue to do the same things, like you said, and expect different results. Let us have a government that is bothered about the welfare of the people. Let us fight security in the real sense of it. It's not enough to put up pictures of how you have reclaimed Sambisa Forest today, and the next day we're hearing that a military barracks was attacked. No, we understand that there's a security challenge. Let us focus and defeat the enemy on a collective front.
Okay, Ogbede, thanks a lot for coming on the program today.
Thank you very much.
Barrister Chima, thanks also for coming on the program today.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I think one thing our leaders should begin to do is leading by example. If you say change begins with you, you know, I should see it and want to imitate you. You know, you don't tell me, oh, don't eat foreign products, but that's what you eat. If I can afford it, why can't I eat it? But if I see that you are leading by example, you're doing that thing, then I might want to follow suit. So we should start, you know, being honest in this country, because you can't deceive some people sometimes, you can deceive other people all the time. So Nigeria must be better for all of us. TMI continues shortly. Stay tuned.